Well, as Angelenos take their first steps toward recovering from a series of devastating wildfires, and first responders continue to grapple with high wind warnings and also potential mudslides. Rain is on the way as well. A new round of criticism is descending on California Governor Gavin Newsom's office. Saving California is a new recall effort being launched against the embattled governor, which argues the woefully unprepared response of state authorities to the wildfires is just an example of Newsom's inability to lead. Even while the Golden State contends the fires, rising crime, rising costs, dealing with the standard of living, Newsom recently struck a deal with state Democrats to set aside $50 million for suing the Trump administration to, quote, Trump-proof the state. Randy Economy, chairman of the recall effort, is joining us now to discuss the renewed push to oust Newsom. Randy, good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us. I know you talked to our Chris Boyle last week about the official launch, but tomorrow you're going to be holding a press conference at Kitts in LA as you're going to start accepting signatures. You guys have to move really quickly. How many signatures do you need in under 5 months?
We need about 1.2, 1.3 million signatures, but our goal is obviously we'd love to get 2 million.
Right.
We got a little less than 2.2 million last time. We had a few month extension because of the pandemic and the fact that Gavin put us all on house arrest for 2.5 years.
Yeah.
So we were able to go ahead and get an extension. I don't know if we'll be able to get an extension this time, but I think here's the fact. We have this momentum that is it's like an avalanche coming down, Mount Baldy here in Southern California. And the people from all sides, the Democrats, the Republicans, the regular plain old Californians who don't have a party affiliation like myself, we've had it. And I think what these wildfires did, it exposed Gavin Newsom for his exposed him about his competency level. And it's not very high. So, I mean, he failed so dramatically with these wildfires, but everything he does is a failure. And he's not mentally checked into his job and hasn't been for 2 years. I mean, he's running for president in 2 years. That's his priority right now. I think he was a little upset that he wasn't able to run when President Biden dropped out last time, and he had to defer to Kamala Harris. Well, look how that turned out. That was a complete disaster. So I think everything that Gavin Newsom does right now is tainted, and that's why we have decided that we cannot afford 2 more years of this guy being the chief executive officer of the 5th largest economy in the world. We can't afford it anymore. So we're taking the bold steps, we're doing the heavy lifting, and we're making sure that he is served within the next 24 hours or 36 hours officially, that we're coming after you, buddy.
You know, Randy, we are seeing so many people leave the state, like literally. I know you've heard this, like there's no U-Hauls, people are just moving. I mean, you talked about COVID lockdowns. He locked down this entire state. He destroyed businesses. I mean, so many businesses were shattered. I mean, our taxes are out of control, the homelessness, I can go on and on and on and on. But it doesn't have to be this way.
No, it doesn't have to be this way. And it's really funny. I got a kick out of the fact that he said, oh man, we got 2 million people have come to California in the last couple of years, and hey, we're back. And I'm thinking, well, those are 2 million people who shouldn't be here in the first place. They came over the border illegally. So I mean, he loves to play this really weird math that he always likes to play. But we're on to the guy, and he will be served his official recall papers as early as Friday. And I know that President Trump is coming out here to do a series of visits in regards to the fire areas. Yeah. And, we have another fire just broke out about an hour ago in Lake Castaic, which is north of Santa Clarita. And that thing is just blazing big time. So, I mean, I think if things go as planned, I know that President Trump is going to hopefully be very excited about this recall attempt. I'm going to welcome him with open arms if he'd like to support us publicly, and then to take it from there. But we've been in contact with the president's office through a couple of his higher ups, and so we got this thing. We really, really do. So we launched an amazing website. It's called savingcalifornia.vote. Savingcalifornia.vote, and you can just have every one of your viewers go there, check it out. Throw a few bucks in the kitty if you want to. Sign up, and we will go ahead and keep in touch with you via email and text message every day from this day forward.
And I know you're looking for volunteers as well, so that's really important. SavingCalifornia.vote. Randy, Newsom, I got to ask you about this. He recently struck a deal with the state Democrats to set aside $50 million to basically, sue the Trump administration, to Trump-proof the state. We have so many people who lost their homes. I'm sure that money could be better allocated. Like, what is going on?
Well, I think the thing is that they're completely tone deaf. And here Southern California is burning.
Literally on fire.
15,000 homes were being destroyed. And he, instead of holding a special session on how to deal with the wildfires and go into emergency session with the state assembly and the state senate, he chose to hold these both houses of the government in Sacramento to figure out how to de-Trump California. So I think it's emblematic of who he is. Gavin Newsom is not playing with the full deck. He is completely obsessed with President Trump. And we're completely obsessed with the future of California. And I think that's the big difference. And I think there's going to be a lot of serious people who have already come forward who would like to help us with the recall. And there's a lot of people who want to run for governor already. And so I think it's kind of I hate to use this term, it's the perfect firestorm, if there is such a thing of a firestorm. But I think this is a political battle that he's not going to win. And I'm going to do everything in my power as the chairman of this recall campaign to not only hold him accountable, but to kick him out of office once and for all.
So last time you guys weren't successful, right? This time, no. You need 1.3 million signatures. There are more registered Democrats in the state of California than Republicans. But you think you got it this time? I know you just said it. You think it's the perfect storm. But I know, I get it. I see it. I think people have seen enough. I mean, with the crime, the homelessness, and now these fires, not prepared. I mean, like you just mentioned, there's more fires in California. There's fires in San Diego. There is so much brush all over the place. As I drive around, I'm like, all of this can go on fire.
And then everything could have been, eradicated in regards to just clearing the brush and, scrubbing the forest floors, so to speak. But we get it, we understand it. I was the senior advisor and official spokesperson to the last recall, and Gavin Newsom at the time was at a 54% popularity rating. I mean, but we still had 2.2 million people sign our petitions, and we got it on the ballot. And from there, it was a little chaotic, but Gavin spent $175 million. To keep his job, and most of it was brought in by labor unions and the California Democratic Party and the Democratic National Committee and the Democratic Governors Association, and probably at least 16 to 20 political action committees were there at his disposal 24 hours a day, and they deployed an army of money. And I mean, the ad buys were just insane. And I think the recall campaign had probably less than $2 million. Back then. So we didn't have a lot of funds, but this time we're going into it completely with eyes wide open instead of, one eye closed last time. It's a completely different new group of leaders that are engaged with me on this campaign. And they're all businessmen and they're businesswomen and they're leaders in their own individual communities. So I think that makes a big difference right now. And I think the other thing too is Gavin Newsom's changed in the last 2.5 years since the last recall. He's physically changed. He's mentally changed. He got reelected 2 years ago, but Gray Davis got reelected, in his second term too. And then 2 years later, he was recalled and removed from office, and we ended up with Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger. So it's almost like the same scenario, just 25 years later, 30 years later. So I think Californians, thank God we have the ability to hold our elected officials accountable. And it starts with the talk with the governor, because he's the chief executive officer. So if we can fire him, I think we'll be really on the way to be making California great again.
So Randy Economy is here telling us about this new effort, SavingCalifornia.vote. If anybody wants more, say that again. Vote. Yes. And you'll be holding a press conference tomorrow, so we'll be sure to bring that information to our viewers, bring the press conference if we can. Randy Economy, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Want to see more videos like this? Visit OANN.com for immediate access to all the clips you've been waiting to see.